An Oklahoma energy company is still owed hundreds of millions of dollars after it rebuilt Puerto Rico's electric grid following Hurricane Maria. Now Mammoth Energy is asking federal authorities for help. News 9's Alex Cameron explains from our Washington bureau.
Hurricane Maria did about $90 billion in damage to Puerto Rico, including laying waste to the power grid.
It was really a very devastating event, but our teams answered the call.
Close to 1,000 employees of Mammoth Energy, many from Oklahoma, worked for a year and a half, living in containers stacked on barges, rebuilding across mountainous terrain, turning the lights back on, says CEO Artie Strela, but for what?
We still have not been paid. In fact, we haven't been paid since May of 2019.
Up until then, PREPA, the Puerto Rico Electric Power Authority, which filed for bankruptcy in July 2017, had paid Mammoth just over $1 billion, but that still left about $250 million unpaid, which, with interest accruing monthly, has now grown to $340 million.
Right now, PREPA will not talk to us face to face.
It's an extraordinary level of bad behavior.
Fortunately for Mammoth, they found a sympathetic ear in Justin Peterson, who sits on the board Congress created to oversee bankruptcy proceedings for Puerto Rico and its agencies.
These guys swung into action after Hurricane Maria, and they've been treated terribly.
One reason for that treatment, and a complicating factor in this, is that the former head of the Mammoth subsidiary that did grid work was charged in 2019 in a bribery scheme to steer contracts to the company. But Peterson says that shouldn't excuse PREPA from paying for work that was done, especially since it was work PREPA contracted after news of the investigation surfaced.
PREPA still continued to order more. So the meter kept running, and they have a responsibility for that.
This has been devastating to us.
Strela says they've had to lay people off, people who helped rebuild PREPA's grid.
And it's time for PREPA to pay us.
And Peterson says he believes that could begin to happen soon. I'll be following it. In our Washington bureau, I'm Oklahoma's own Alex Cameron.